All right, example 5 here, creating an activity chart from a network diagram. Now, this is going to have dummy activities again. We've already done network charts from network diagrams from charts, but this time it's got dummy activities. And this is actually a really good way of consolidating what we did in the previous example where we just first drew a dummy activity. So what we're going to have a look at is we're going to do the immediate predecessors. All we really care about is the immediate predecessors of each activity. That's how we work it out. So let's start with this. Does A have any immediate predecessors? No. There was nothing we had to do before A. If we have a look at B, did it have an immediate predecessor? Yes, it did. The immediate predecessor of B is A. And much the same for C. Both C and A came off B. When we look at activity D, what was the immediate predecessor? It is just B. So that's nice and easy. And then the immediate predecessor for E is just C. Okay, so we're all good so far. That's all pretty straightforward. Now I want to have a look at F. What are the immediate predecessors of F? So what are the ones that came before it? So if you have a look, D came before F, definitely. Oh, now I'm scrolling. So D came before F, but is there anything else? Is there another arrow that's pointing up towards it that is an immediate predecessor? And the answer is yes. You can see that this one here, that thing, oh, by the way, that is not an I, that is a number 1. And this is a number 2. So it's labeling the dummy activities. Okay? So when we look at that, what is another one? That one coming up. Well, what is that edge? We don't have it listed. Now, the whole thing comes back from what we did in the previous worked example. What the dummy activity does is it gives, and stop that, it gives another endpoint for one of the other activities. So if you have a look, this there is now the end of activity D, but it's also the end of activity C, because we've brought it up using a dummy activity. We've said, okay, F needs both D and C as its predecessors. So how can we do that? And what we've done is we've used a dummy activity to bring it up. Now, the question is, why did we need a dummy activity to do that? Well, that's because we needed activity E to just have predecessor of C. It doesn't have a predecessor of D. So we couldn't have both of them come into the one spot. So activity E just has the predecessor of C, but activity F has both C and D, and we use the dummy activity to indicate that. Now, if we have a look at G, G also, that is starting to annoy me. G is also got a predecessor of D, because you can see the arrow there, and also a predecessor of C, because you can see it's coming from that dot, which has D and C coming into it. So G is the same as F in that it has predecessors of C and D. All right. Now we look at activity H. Activity H is there. What are the arrows coming into it? We have E and F. So the two predecessors there are E and F. Now we move to I. I is over here. Okay, and if we have a look, what are the arrows coming into it? We have G coming into it, and that is the only one we have coming into it. So it is just G. And then when we get down to activity J, what activities do we have coming into it? Well, here's an arrow, which is H. So it definitely has H as a predecessor. And then you should be able to see that our end of G got brought down using a dummy activity to that point as well. So G is also a predecessor of J. Cool.